Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back to some more Mania 7 Key World Cup 2025 action. I am really excited here. We've got another round of 32 matchup to go through, and I believe this is China versus Mexico. Obviously, winner's bracket. No one's knocked down into the loser's bracket round of 32, but this is a bit of a tough matchup here. Mexico, the 31 seed, having to go up against the number 2 overall seed, China. Going to be a tough road ahead of them, but I'm excited to see what they're capable of. I'm Toph Daddy, in the commentator booth, joined here by Sparky. How's it going?
Oh, it's going absolutely fantastic. It is definitely one of the matches that we're about to see here. It is definitely the epitome of David versus Goliath. I think the only matchup that's even more of a discrepancy between seeding is 1 versus 32. And I think that's coming up later this weekend if it hasn't already happened. But regardless, it is definitely tough sledding ahead for Mexico. Doing very well to make it to this round by virtue of that expanded format going to round of 32 for this year. So happy to see them, but unfortunate getting the short end of the stick here on the draw with China as their first opponent.
That certainly is the case. We are getting pretty quick into this already. China winning the role there, and Mexico, or them getting the first protect, Mexico getting second protect, first ban. Rice 2 coming out as a protect, and then a ban for Rice 4 from Mexico there. An LN protect from China, not too surprising, though LN2 not necessarily what I would have expected, though I guess they just want to tackle the physicality of the Longos that LN2 has it.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely one of those cases where I feel like this round in particular kind of emphasizes where some of the strengths lie with some of these higher seeds versus these lower seeded teams, where these higher seeded teams aren't afraid to dive into those LNs, protect them even for, or to keep them around. Whereas these lower seeded teams, we've seen a propensity for them to want to get rid of these LN picks in response. But Mexico bucking the trend just a little bit, opting to get rid of Vanguard 3, and China responding in kind by getting rid of our speed, tiny, and bit of light core stream pick in Rice 1.
Yeah, I mean, Rice 1, I think in this case is probably the second easiest map physically in the pool. I would probably call Rice 3 the physically easiest overall. Yeah. But even then, I don't think it's bad one way or another for China to get rid of that, especially with China's obvious capabilities of handling an accuracy battle like Rice 3. But China gonna open with a first pick on LN1 here.
Yeah, so opting not to protect it, I guess, with the strategy of if it stays around after the banning, we'll just go for it first. This is definitely, dare I say, the most innocuous pick in this pool. It is very polarizing in terms of skill set, going essentially full inverse to start things off for an LN1 pick. It is very hard when you get into the nitty-gritty between like being able to approach it and being able to master it. It's a very big step, and it'll be interesting to see if Mexico can kind of step up to the plate here against China when you have the likes of Turks and AF on their side ready to contest this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough road ahead, especially on China's first pick, but this is the kind of map that the physicality isn't really that important. Just gotta have that coordination, and if Mexico's worried about that physicality, this is definitely the kind of pick that can go in their direction. But this, I mean, in my opinion, is the hardest of the long note picks just because of how heavy that coordination aspect is.
For sure. So, ready to get underway. These players have been locked in this entire time, ready to just blaze through everything in terms of proceedings. We're going to see Dex and Kopi for Mexico. Gonna carry the torch here as we get this map underway. Dex with a very early slider break. I imagine just maybe a bit of a hiccup getting into the map proper, just trying to find their footing, but extremely early on, not going to make the most amount of difference, but the accuracy discrepancy is going to start rearing its head here before too long. Already 22,000 points in favor of China getting through this introduction alone.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that off the back of Dex right now. Not having the best of time getting up to that 400 combo, the coordination of that inverse, really causing some trouble down to the 97% range. Kopi keeping up at a 99.38, holding on to the full combo alongside the two Chinese players, but something happened. Something may have happened to Dex. I'm not sure what that was.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a maybe external issue happening here for Dex. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I think we're well past that cushion that we usually allow for aborting a map. Considering the fact we're already into the back half, and I mean they handled that introduction relatively well. Maybe just some client issues dampening the performance, but as it stands, it is what it is. Kobe finally finding a drop as well. Meanwhile, on the side of China, both FCs still very much intact, 99.7 plus the accuracy for them, as they've basically taken this by the mantle and run away with it to start this first pick off.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kopi, unfortunately, does not finish off the full combo for themselves, despite holding on with the Chinese team. It does look like we're looking at a potential 2 full combos for the Chinese side there. Oh, I say that and
right as you say that.
misses.
It's like they heard you, but regardless, not going to change the outcome here. Just a tiny little bit of a blemish. The nearly black flag performance, the singular 200 with that slider break right at the end, just to kind of say, hey, almost made it. But regardless, at 988k, very hard to beat a score like that from anybody, honestly, especially with AF. MVP in the lobby, 991k on a map like this is definitely no small feat in and of itself.
Absolutely not, but that was China's first pick, so not so terribly surprised to see them doing super well on it, but it is going to be Mexico's pick. They'll be able to hold on to at least get some comfort picks in here to try and perform, but they ended up protecting Rice 2, and I've already seen that China has a very strong LN capability with that LN1 score, so I almost imagine that Rice 2 or Rice 3 could come out going for the accuracy battles, going for the less physically demanding picks in this case.
Yeah, for sure, and a bit of an explanation as to what might have happened for Dex. Their keyboard turned off, which is incredibly unfortunate during that last pick. That explains why they suddenly just died halfway through the chart, but unfortunately, like I mentioned, it was a little bit too late for the abort. But I mean, to be fair, with the way that map was going, when the scores that China put up, I don't think it would have made a difference at the end of the day. So, I mean, you get out of the way early, you make sure you just have everything intact afterwards, and you just focus on your own picks here.
Yeah, and we see Turks actually swap out there. Van Wilder coming in for the Chinese side, Nana 3000 and Kopi being the players for Mexico at the moment. But this is definitely the pick that I would have considered the most likely for Mexico to really be able to put up a fight against, just because of how heavy the accuracy focus is. And if you're good enough at Jax, this is really 100% an act battle and nothing else. Or, looking for a singular mistake from your opponent, which can definitely flip the tables.
Yeah, it's definitely, I feel like we're going to refer to Rice 3 or just the core jack pick as the tournament progresses, as this kind of double-edged sword that teams will want to either go into willingly or might just need to out of necessity, because of the fact that it's very easy to sharpshoot scores on picks like this, but it's also very easy to throw away a team score on a pick like this.
Absolutely it is. But you see a mirror coming out from Kopi there, so maybe a little bit of uncomfort. That, despite the fact that this is largely a pretty balanced, I think, on both hands, it does it pretty much swaps hands on each of the motions, so maybe just a mind block pattern somewhere down the line.
Maybe, definitely. Always enjoy seeing the preferences come out. Always interesting to kind of dig into the weeds there. But as we get into the first real drop of the song, the density begins to pick up, and everybody managing to transition into it relatively gracefully. China not pulling away too far as it stands, ahead in terms of the accuracy alone, but all 4 FCs still on the board as everybody crosses that 400 combo cap, and the lead is only 3,000 points, definitely within catching distance from Mexico. If China finds a slip up here or there, doesn't even come down to a miss, it could just be a rush of 200 somewhere along the line that could swing this over.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 5,000 points, not very far at all. Every player holding on to combo accuracy, maybe not even as strong as I would have expected from a team with the caliber of the Chinese side. 99.83 from Van Wild. They're still very strong, just more approachable. And Kobe definitely holding on in that scenario. It's really just between Af and Nana here with the accuracy. 99.94, absolutely incredible, versus Nana's 99.47, but still holding onto the full combo and still more than capable of keeping it within striking distance.
Yeah, for sure. I think that just has to be the name of the game here for Mexico. Hold on to the full combos. Can't afford to find a miss anywhere through this last quarter, and you just gotta hope that somebody from the side of China finds a drop, especially as we get into these staircase runs. The only time we break out of this dare I say, monotonous 1-2 structure that we've had this entire map, but everybody makes it through unscathed. Everybody's still holding on to the FCs. The last transition, things really start to get even more dense. You start to see two-handed core jack patterns start to come through in relatively quick succession, and with everybody managing to hang on here, China seems to only be building this advantage, growing the lead to 16,000 points off the back of the accuracy alone, and China gonna pick up the first break point in this match to make it 2-0.
Yeah, and pretty expected. Very, very strong scores from the Chinese side. Very strong scores from Mexico as well, holding on to a double full combo themselves. Just the accuracy advantage that China has is something else.
Yeah, absolutely. We have players like AF just putting a double-digit V1SS on the table. There's, again, kind of similar to the first pick. There's really not much you can do there, but I mean, Mexico can at least kind of take the small victories there. Manage to hold on to the double FC, manage to have a good, clean run, and they can kind of build off that as China opts to go for their Protect LN2.
Yeah, not too surprising. Want to make sure that they are able to guarantee that that breakpoint for them means something. Lock down a 3-0 lead, or at least locking down that one breakpoint lead at this point, and making sure that Protect is really the best place to go.
Yeah, for sure. It's always a great way to capitalize on those opportunities. Just going to something that's super comfortable for your team. We see Turks come back in to back up AF. Dex as well coming in to back up Kopi to try and mount a bit of a challenge here. Definitely stylistically easier than LN1. I think density in this context much easier to navigate in comparison to that full inverse pick from earlier. So it'll be interesting to see how Mexico performs on this one. Hopefully Dex, knock on wood, doesn't have any more keyboard issues to mar a good performance from them.
Yeah, for sure. And we're already seeing some better performances from both the Mexican players here. 99% from Dex right out of this gate, and not finding any breaks, so the coordination not causing too many issues. Though, as soon as I say the name, maybe some hardware issues or something. I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just the keyboard just continuing to disconnect. Not sure if, you know, wireless peripherals, and sometimes they just don't want to stay connected, and it's just rearing its head at the worst possible time. But as it stands, with China performing the way they are on these LN picks, even before that started to happen, it was Dex with a low 99, Kopi kind of picking up the mantle there, 99.3, 99.4%, would have been able to stay in with a chance of catching some mistakes from China, especially with AF finding the drop going into the back half. But as it stands, just not much you can do if you are on the side of Mexico outside of just try and figure out what's going on there with these LN picks and Dex and the hardware issues, and see if they can get those sorted out before China has another pick here.
Yeah, for sure. But that is going to give China a 3-0 lead here. It is Mexico's pick again, so they'll be able to go into something potentially a little bit more comfortable. But like you said, gonna have to figure out what is going on Dex's side with those what seem to be hardware issues.
And sure enough, China closes it out. Unfortunate circumstances, of course, at the end of the day, but outside of that, still really good team score overall. Turks MVPing the lobby, 993K, lots of threes across the board for them.
Yeah, definitely expected strong scores, but Mexico gonna have their opportunity here to pick what they need to. Rice 2, their protect is still open, so they have something that they know that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, I think at this point it's just kind of trying to get that mental reset in as well. Unfortunate to have something like that happen twice now on the LN picks, but it seems like their Rice roster hasn't had any issues for now. Again, knock on wood. Don't want to preemptively curse them before they make their pick, but as it stands, you have the protect. You can kind of just take a second to ensure that you go into this fully focused, cast aside the LNs. Probably weren't going to willingly want to go into those anyways, so you don't need to get too down on yourselves of those performances. So we'll see what they decide to go for here. Just waiting on their picks to come through here.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I don't really expect anything but Rice 2, and there it is. Rice 2 does come out. Their protect says does come out, and they're just trying to keep things comfortable for them, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. And no better way to be comfortable than going from Chord Jack to Chord Stream.
Not to mention, this is very short, so singular mistakes are going to cause a little bit more of a score discrepancy than they would otherwise. And if you're just fishing for mistakes from China, this is the kind of map that you're going to have to get it on.
Yeah, for sure. Just singular hiccups here, just a misread somewhere along the lines. And we saw the double FC on Rice 3 earlier from Mexico, so they definitely have a solid foundation in terms of Rice consistency if they can carry it through into this pick. And as we've been saying, just hope for a mistake from China, whether it be a miss or maybe just like a rush of 200s here or there, just keeping themselves within striking distance. I mean, they can definitely pull this pick out.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree in that case. They're just going to have to pull out the performances, though. We've been seeing a little bit of shakiness on the Mexican side for most of these maps, though two of them were long notes, so definitely within China's wheelhouse and kind of outside of Mexico's wheelhouse. The Jack pick, they were able to double full combo, though, and I could expect something similar if they protected this and feel more comfortable on this than they did on that core Jack pick.
Absolutely, and we have a nice little bit of consistency here in the lobby. The top half going no mod, bottom half going mirror, so you can kind of no visual hiccups anywhere along the lines. It's perfectly symmetrical as we get this pick underway. And as we start things off, everybody making up over that 400 combo cap with relative ease. Nana actually picking up a bit of an accuracy drop down into that low 98% range, just finding a bit of a spread UR bar, maybe just hitting a little bit early, picking up a couple extra 200s that are giving China a bit of a cushion to work with now, about 17,000 points and climbing, and the drop going into the back half of the chart now. And we were saying before going into this pick, because of the fact that it's so short, these misses are going to be amplified, it feels like. And sure enough, we see it in the scoreline now, 35,000 points and climbing for the Chinese roster.
Yeah, that's going to be big. And Nana actually finding another break in that slower section there and giving an even bigger lead here, growing up to about 50,000 points for China in this case. Accuracies from both those players holding on extremely well. Kopi holding on to the full combo as well, but just a little bit behind in the accuracy, and Nana just not quite able to feel super comfortable with some of these patterns. Does get up to the 400 combo, though, and it starts to bring it back, but we have so little left in this map that a full collapse would have to happen from China's side in order for this to go in their favor.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a valiant effort. It felt like that start was pretty strong overall, and everything that they probably could have asked for. I wonder if that was a banjo miss right there at the end for AF. We'll have to wait and see. It was a organic miss. The choke right at the very end of the chart, literally the last note, finding the miss to ruin a double FC for China. But with that being said, it is still a match point situation for them. I think they'll take that trade any day.
Yeah, absolutely. they'll take that miss, but that will be a second break point, and it brings it to match point for China here on their own pick.
Yeah, now I mean they kind of have pick of the litter here on this bottom half of the map pool. LN3 is available, and sure enough, they're just gonna make it plain and simple. LN3, we don't need to mess with hybrid.
Keep it with the long notes. It's been working so far. This one notably easier than the other two, I think. So I do think Mexico has a better opportunity to kind of hold on and keep China within striking distance, but the other two were very heavily favored for China so far. They're going to have to put up a performance of a lifetime to have a chance here.
For sure. I mean, it like we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, I mean, Mexico coming into this very much drawing the short end of the stick going up against a team like China. It's basically like put up your best numbers and hope for the best as we wait to see if there's any substitutions. I imagine with the issues that Dex has been having, we probably won't be seeing them on a pick like this, but with this not being as hard as LN1 or LN2, at least in the grand scheme of things, potentially, it might just be one where Nana has to kind of step up to the plate. It's like, okay, you might not enjoy the LNs, but we kind of need you to play the LNs right now.
Yeah, gotta make sure that those hardware issues don't come back to bite you again. And, with a pick is, you know, more straightforward as far as like keeping consistency on long notes goes as this is. I do think you can make the argument to put someone who might not be as comfortable with long notes, but you know will be able to hold on and you know, put up the fight that maybe Dex wasn't able to before.
Yeah, I mean, through no fault of their own, of course, but it's one of those where it's like, we'd rather have a couple of misses here and there than dropping out for half the song for this. So Mexico backs against the wall here in this situation. China on the cusp of sweeping this match. Gonna try and put up their best effort. Let's see if they can secure a point here on this LN pick.
Yeah, another mirror selection for Kopi. Saw that earlier from them as well on one of the other earlier picks in this match. So maybe a comfort thing, maybe a mind block thing, I'm not totally certain, but out of the gate we see a little bit of an accuracy drop out of the Mexican side. Nana not having a great time holding on to the combo, but is able to hold on to accuracy, not able to hold on, or still holding on to the combo as of right now.
Yeah, if you are Mexico, this is exactly what you're hoping for. Just being able to make it through, get up over that 400 combo cap, hold on to the combo as long as humanly possible. See if you can try and catch out China with any mistakes. They've been few and far between, but it's not impossible for China to find a couple of slider breaks here and there. But Nana gonna pick up the first break in this chart going into the second quarter of the map. Gonna put a bit of a damper on things as China, like, once again, just begins to build up this advantage from the accuracy and reaping the rewards once the misses come out.
Yeah.
Already to the tune of about 30,000 points here.
Yeah, and we just saw another break here in this slower section from Nana. So that's only going to help extend the lead for China as more breaks continue to happen. The consistency starting to show some issues.
Yeah, I think it's just early releases here and there, just trying to keep their fingers in check. It leads to this propensity to want to let go a little bit too early, especially when the little rice bursts come through here and there. But as it stands, I mean, China once again looking incredibly comfortable on these LN picks overall, and just needing to doing just enough to ensure that the path of resistance is as minimal as possible. Quarter map still left to go. Turks basically putting AF in the backpack and like, hey, I got you. We're going to make it through together. 99.84% accuracy. We are good to go. 78,000 points and climbing going into the last section here.
Yeah, and as we get into this outro, Nana continuing to find some drops. Both of the Chinese players holding onto the full combo. And like you said, Turks with the absolute monster accuracy, doing everything they can to make this as easy as possible for them. And looking to close out this match, China to take it 5-0, barring insane circumstances. But that is going to be China pulling out the brooms 5-0. And we'll move on in the winners bracket into the round of 16 winners side. Mexico not out of the tournament yet, still have life in the tournament, just will be moved down to the losers bracket where they will be fighting for their tournament lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, congratulations to China. A very strong performance overall. Got to see everybody except for Satori here got to take the weekend off by the looks of it, but able to show off what they are made of, why they earned that number 2 seed. But that will do it for the start of the Sunday block of matches. We're going to take a bit of a lengthy break here. Be back at 10 UTC for our next match. It's going to be New Zealand going up against Taiwan to continue right along this round of 32 weekend, and plenty more action thereafter. The matches come in relatively hour by hour blocks until we make it to the very end. So definitely once we get started, it's not going to stop anytime soon. Toph, do you have anything else left to add here?
Oh, I've obviously got something left to add, and I mean, it's just because I need something to decorate my profile, and I'm not sure if there's something that I can do related to this tournament that might help my profile really pop.
Well, could I interest you in some 7-Key Mania World Cup profile banners available on the O store for the low price of $2.50 USD?
I think you could definitely interest me in one of those banners, and if I'm thinking about this correctly, you could get one for any of the 32 teams in the tournament, right? And that made it to bracket stage?
Yeah, absolutely. All 32 teams are available, and if you're like me and you're very indecisive, you can pick up as many of those banners as you would like, and they'll show up on your banner on your profile for the entirety of this event. And if you manage to pick the winner of this year's World Cup, it'll stay there even longer. Did you know that if you manage to pick the winners from last year's World Cup, those banners are still on your profile to this day? So why not support the teams that made it here? As we mentioned earlier this weekend, we've expanded the format. There are 32 teams now. So many fresh faces making their debut on the 7-Key stage. Why not show your support for those teams that have been trying for years to make it into this tournament, finally able to show off what they are made of by picking up a banner today?
Man, I would love to do that. I gotta support my boys in the United States. Gotta get that United States banner, but I've got so many teams that I want to support. I'm glad that you brought this up for me, but with that, I think that's going to be it for us. We got 5.5 hours just about before our next match to continue our block of Sunday matches. That is New Zealand versus Taiwan. Going to be an exciting one. Hope to see you guys all there.
Take care, y'all.